Hey, everyone, welcome back to Arise Avenue. Today, I'm sharing a story that's going to leave you questioning how well you really know the person you're married to. This one involves life insurance, medication, and a husband's dark plan that almost succeeded. If you like these intense betrayal stories, make sure to like and share this video. Alright, let's get into it. The pharmacist is staring at me with this concerned expression, asking me if I'm aware that my prescription for blood pressure medication was refilled 3 times in the past month, when it should only need refilling once every 30 days. I'm standing at the counter of the CVS on Marshall Street, confused because I didn't refill it 3 times. I've been taking the pills my husband Blake brings me every morning with my coffee like I have for the past 8 months. The pharmacist pulls up my account on her computer and shows me that someone using my insurance has been picking up extra bottles. And when she describes the person who's been collecting them, I realize with absolute horror that she's describing Blake. I tell her there must be some mistake, that my husband handles my medications because I'm terrible at remembering to take them, and she asks me how many pills I'm actually taking per day. I say just one 20-milligram pill every morning, and her face goes even more serious as she tells me that based on the refill pattern, someone has been going through about 90 pills per month when a normal prescription is only 30. She's explaining that this could indicate medication abuse or diversion, and she's required to report it, but I'm barely hearing her because my mind is doing math I don't want to calculate. If Blake has been getting 3 times the medication, and I've only been taking 1 pill a day from the bottle in our bathroom cabinet, where are the other pills going? My hands start shaking as I remember all the mornings he'd bring me my pill with breakfast, watch me take it, smile at me with this caring expression I thought was love. I remember how insistent he was about managing my medications after my blood pressure diagnosis last year, how he said he wanted to take care of me, make sure I stayed healthy. The pharmacist is asking if I'm okay, if I need to sit down, and I'm backing away from the counter because I need to get home right now, need to check something that I'm praying isn't true. I drive home faster than I should, my heart pounding so hard I can feel it in my throat, and when I get there Blake's car is gone because he's at his law firm and won't be home for another 4 hours. I go straight to our bathroom, open the medicine cabinet, and take out the pill bottle with my name on it. The label says 20 milligrams, 1 pill daily, but when I examine the pills themselves they look slightly different than I remember. Slightly larger than the samples my doctor showed me when she first prescribed this medication. I grab my phone and search for images of 20 milligram blood pressure pills, and the ones in my bottle don't match, they match the 40 milligram version. Blake has been giving me double the prescribed dose every single day for 8 months, and if the pharmacy records show he's been refilling my prescription 3 times as often as normal, that means he's been stockpiling the regular dose while feeding me the double-strength version. I met Blake at a charity auction for the Children's Hospital where I work as a pediatric nurse, and he was there representing his law firm that was sponsoring the event. He was confident without being arrogant, made me laugh with stories about the absurd cases he sometimes had to defend, and asked thoughtful questions about my work with sick kids. We dated for almost 2 years before he proposed, and I appreciated that he wasn't rushing into anything, that he wanted to build something solid before making it permanent. The wedding was exactly what I wanted, a small ceremony at a vineyard in Sonoma with just 50 guests, and Blake cried when I walked down the aisle, which made me love him even more. We bought a house in a quiet neighborhood in Portland, talked about starting a family soon, built what I thought was the foundation of a life together. Blake's law career was going well, I was getting promoted at the hospital, and everything seemed to be falling into place perfectly. Then about a year ago, Blake started bringing up life insurance during random conversations, saying we should be more responsible now that we owned property together. He'd mention articles he'd read about young couples who didn't have adequate coverage, would bring up examples of people he knew whose spouses died unexpectedly and left them with massive debt. I didn't think much of it at first, figured he was just being practical in that lawyer way of always planning for worst-case scenarios. He researched different policies obsessively, comparing rates and coverage amounts, and eventually convinced me we should each get policies worth $750,000 with each other as beneficiaries. I signed the papers without really thinking about it, trusting that Blake knew what he was doing since insurance and legal stuff was more his area than mine. The premiums were affordable, the process was straightforward, and within a month we both had active life insurance policies on each other. My blood pressure diagnosis came about 3 months after we signed those insurance policies, discovered during a routine physical when the nurse noticed my reading was higher than normal. My doctor prescribed medication and lifestyle changes. Nothing serious, just something to manage before it became a bigger problem. Blake immediately took charge of making sure I remembered to take my pills, setting up a system where he'd bring me my medication every morning with breakfast so I wouldn't forget. Looking back now, I can see how calculated every move was. How he positioned himself as the caring husband while slowly increasing my dosage without my knowledge. The symptoms I'd been experiencing over the past few months, the dizziness and fatigue and occasional confusion, I'd attributed to stress at work or not getting enough sleep. My doctor had mentioned these could be side effects of the medication and might improve as my body adjusted, but they never did because Blake kept adjusting my dosage upward. I'm holding this bottle of 40 milligram pills in my hand, staring at my reflection in the bathroom mirror, and I'm trying to understand what Blake's endgame is here. Doubling my blood pressure medication for 8 months straight isn't just dangerous, it could be fatal, could cause my blood pressure to drop so low that I pass out and hit my head or have a stroke or any number of medical emergencies that would look completely natural given my diagnosis. Then I remember the life insurance policies, remember how Blake made sure we had them in place before my diagnosis, remember how he's been so careful about managing my medication. My stomach drops as I realize what I'm looking at. This isn't medication management or caring husband behavior, this is attempted murder disguised as healthcare. Blake has been slowly poisoning me for 8 months, waiting for my body to give out so he can collect $750,000 and play the grieving widower. I need evidence before I confront him or go to the police, need proof that he's been deliberately giving me the wrong dosage. I search our house systematically, checking every drawer and cabinet and storage space, looking for where he might be keeping the regular 20 milligram pills he's been picking up from the pharmacy. I find them in his home office, in a locked file cabinet that I break open with a screwdriver, 3 full bottles of my actual prescribed medication hidden behind folders of legal documents. I also find other things in that cabinet, things that make this so much worse than I thought. There are printed emails between Blake and someone named Jennifer Cross discussing their situation and how they need to be patient just a little longer. There are bank statements showing Blake has been draining our joint savings account, transferring money to an account I didn't know existed. There are property documents for a condo in Seattle that's apparently in both Blake's and Jennifer's names, purchased 8 months ago right after our life insurance policies went into effect. Jennifer Cross, I remember that name now, she's a paralegal at Blake's law firm who I met once at the company holiday party. Blake introduced her as someone new to the team, barely spoke to her in front of me, gave no indication there was anything between them. But these emails tell a different story, messages going back over a year talking about their future together, about how they're going to start over once Blake is free, about how the life insurance money will give them the foundation they need. One email from Blake to Jennifer, dated 2 months ago, says, "The medication increase is working exactly as planned, she's getting weaker and more confused, just a matter of time now." Jennifer's response says, "I know this is hard, but we are so close. Just think about our life together once this is over." I'm reading these words on printed paper, physical evidence of my husband and his mistress planning my death like it's a business transaction, and I feel this cold rage settling over me that's almost calming in its clarity. I take photos of everything. The pills, the emails, the bank statements, the property documents, creating a comprehensive record of Blake's scheme before he comes home. Then I call my sister Lauren, who's a prosecutor for the district attorney's office. Tell her I need her to come over immediately and bring someone from her office who can help me. She hears something in my voice that makes her not ask questions. Just says she'll be there in 30 minutes with her colleague from the financial crimes unit. Lauren arrives with a detective named Marcus Chen who specializes in insurance fraud. And I show them everything I found. Marcus photographs all the evidence using proper chain of custody procedures, bags the medication bottles, makes copies of the emails and financial documents. He tells me this is one of the clearest cases of attempted murder he's seen. That Blake's mistake was documenting everything in emails and keeping physical evidence in his office. They want to arrest Blake immediately, but I ask them to wait. Tell them I want to confront him first, with Lauren and Marcus there as witnesses. I need to see his face when he realizes I know. Need to hear what excuse he could possibly give for systematically poisoning me for 8 months while planning a future with another woman. Marcus is hesitant but agrees to give me 30 minutes alone with Blake before they take him into custody. Blake comes home at his usual time, calling out my name cheerfully as he walks in the door. And I tell him I'm in the living room and we need to talk. He walks in with this concerned expression, asking if everything's okay, if something happened. And I gesture to the coffee table where I've laid out all the evidence. The printed emails, the different medication bottles, the bank statements, the property documents for the Seattle condo. Everything displayed like exhibits in a trial. The color drains from Blake's face as he realizes what he's looking at. And for a moment he just stands there frozen. Then he tries to deny it. Says these must be fake, asks where I got them. Claims someone is trying to frame him. But his voice has no conviction. And when I tell him I found everything in his locked file cabinet, when I mention Jennifer Cross by name, he stops talking and sits down heavily on the couch. I ask him how long he's been planning to kill me. And at first he won't answer, just stares at the evidence on the table. Then finally he says it wasn't supposed to go this far. That it started as an exit strategy if our marriage didn't work out, but then he met Jennifer and suddenly it seemed like a solution to multiple problems. He says he never wanted to hurt me, he just wanted to be with Jennifer. And the life insurance money would let them start fresh without the financial devastation of a divorce. Blake is talking about my murder like it's a practical solution to his relationship problems. Explaining that doubling my medication was supposed to cause a stroke or heart attack that would look completely natural given my blood pressure condition. He says he researched it extensively, found cases where similar accidents had happened with blood pressure medication errors, and thought he could make it work. He actually says the words, "I'm sorry it came to this," like he's apologizing for a business deal falling through rather than for trying to murder his wife. I tell him Lauren is waiting in the kitchen with a detective, that everything he just said was recorded on my phone, that he's going to prison for a very long time. Blake's expression shifts from resigned to panic, and he asks if there's any way we can work this out. If I'd consider not pressing charges if he just leaves. The audacity of asking me to let him walk away after 8 months of poisoning me. After planning my death in emails with his mistress. After stealing our money to buy a condo with another woman, is so stunning I actually laugh. Lauren and Marcus come in then. And Marcus reads Blake his rights while Lauren calls for backup. Blake is crying now, begging me to understand that he never meant for things to go this far. That he loves me and this whole thing just got out of control. I tell him the only thing I understand is that he's been feeding me poison for 8 months while sleeping beside me every night, kissing me goodbye every morning, playing the role of caring husband while actively trying to end my life. The police arrest Jennifer Cross at the law firm an hour later. And her initial reaction is to claim she had no idea what Blake was planning. But when they show her the emails she sent, her own words talking about their future once I was gone. Her messages asking Blake if the increased dosage was working. She can't maintain the innocent act. Both of them are charged with attempted murder, insurance fraud, and conspiracy. And the prosecutors are pushing for maximum sentences, given how premeditated and calculated the whole scheme was. The investigation reveals even more disturbing details over the following weeks, including that Blake had researched how to make my death look like an accident, had considered staging a fall down the stairs or a car crash before, deciding the medication overdose was safer and more believable. They find searches on his computer for untraceable poisons, and how long does blood pressure medication stay in system, and its symptoms of fatal stroke. Every search is another piece of evidence showing this wasn't a crime of passion but a methodically planned murder. The Seattle condo where Blake and Jennifer were planning to start their new life together has furniture and belongings already moved in. A whole household ready for them to step into once I was dead. Jennifer had apparently given notice at her apartment months ago. And Blake had been funneling money from our accounts to furnish this place where they'd live off my life insurance money. They'd even talked about which furniture from our house they'd bring to the condo once the estate was settled. My doctor is horrified when she learns what Blake was doing. Confirms that the dosage he was giving me could absolutely have been fatal. That I'm incredibly lucky I didn't have a stroke or heart attack during those 8 months. She orders comprehensive testing to check for any lasting damage to my organs from the prolonged medication overdose. And while most results come back okay, there's some concern about potential kidney damage that will require monitoring for years. The trial takes almost a year because Blake's defense team tries every possible angle to reduce the charges, arguing that he never actually succeeded in killing me, so it should be attempted murder with a lesser sentence. But the prosecution has email evidence of Blake and Jennifer celebrating my declining health. Messages where Jennifer jokes about what color dress she'll wear to my funeral. Documentation of Blake increasing my dosage deliberately after researching lethal levels. Blake takes a plea deal eventually, admitting to attempted murder and insurance fraud in exchange for 25 years instead of facing a trial that could give him life. Jennifer fights her charges longer, insisting she thought Blake was joking in their emails, claiming she never actually believed he'd go through with poisoning me. But the jury doesn't buy her story, convicts her on all counts. And she gets 18 years for conspiracy to commit murder and insurance fraud. The life insurance company voids both our policies given the fraud involved, and Blake's law firm fires him and launches its own investigation into whether he used firm resources to plan the murder. I file for divorce while Blake is awaiting sentencing. And the judge grants me everything: the house, the savings that Blake hadn't already stolen. Even makes Blake's future earnings subject to restitution payments to cover my medical monitoring costs. Lauren helps me work through the trauma of discovering my husband was poisoning me, finding a therapist who specializes in intimate partner violence because that's what this was, a form of domestic abuse that was slowly killing me. I have nightmares about all the mornings I trustingly took those pills from Blake's hand, about how close I came to not catching it, about what might have happened if that pharmacist hadn't been paying attention to refill patterns. The worst part isn't even the physical danger or the financial loss. It's knowing that Blake kissed me goodnight while thinking about my funeral, made love to me while planning my death, held me when I felt sick from his poison while internally calculating how much longer until the insurance payout. Every tender moment of our marriage is tainted by the knowledge that he was performing care while administering harm. I keep one thing from our life together: the life insurance policy documents that Blake so carefully researched and insisted we sign. Sometimes I look at them and think about how close his plan came to working. How a simple signature on a piece of paper became part of a murder plot. Those documents are a reminder that money makes people do unthinkable things. That the person sleeping beside you might be dreaming of your death while you're dreaming of your future together. I've started dating again slowly, carefully, but I catch myself watching for red flags that might not exist. Questioning gestures of care that are probably genuine. How do you trust anyone with your health, your vulnerability, your morning coffee, after learning your husband was poisoning you for 8 months? How do you believe in love again after discovering that the man who vowed to cherish and protect you was actively trying to end your life? So let me ask you something important. If someone you trusted completely had been slowly poisoning you while pretending to care for your health, would you have noticed the signs? Could you ever trust another person to handle your medication, your food, your basic daily care after an experience like this? And how would you rebuild your life knowing that the person who was supposed to love you most was literally planning your funeral? If this story made you think about the dark possibilities hiding behind ordinary relationships, if it made you question how well you really know the people closest to you, please subscribe to Arise Avenue for more real stories about betrayal, deception, and the shocking ways people harm those who trust them most.